is a genocide against Christians happening right now in Nigeria. Well, Masara Kim, a reporter for Truth Nigeria, joins us now. Well, Masara, you recently wrote an article calling this an anti-Christian pogrom. What is actually happening in Nigeria?
The simplest way to describe what is going on in Nigeria is a genocide that, just as you said, it is entirely a religious cleansing targeted at Christian communities. And this has been ongoing for several decades now without the world paying attention or at least turning a blind eye. In the last couple of days, precisely from the Sunday, the 25th, we have had ongoing relentless attacks against Christian communities approximately 55 miles south of Jos, the capital of Plateau State. And these attacks are part of a pattern, they follow a pattern of violence that has killed more than 200 Christians in the central region of Nigeria since the holy month of April. On Palm Sunday, which was April the 13th, just as Christians in the western part of Jos were settling for the evening after celebrating Palm Sunday with shouts of hallelujah. There were thunderings. There were thunderous gunshots all over the community, and more than 55 people were massacred at an instant. And dozens of houses were burned down. And interestingly, or rather more heartbreaking, is the fact that children and women formed the vast majority of the victims of these massacres.
Hmm.
In one particular room, I walked into a room where I saw the bodies of 8 children from ages between 3 and 8 that were literally slaughtered, right? They were literally slaughtered, and you could see their brains plastered on
Oh,
the walls, and you could see the room was entirely flooded with their blood. And I just could not imagine what manner of human being would do that. And yet, the world tends to.
well, Masara, you sent me a video before we got started and again, if you're watching this and you're a little queasy, I think it's important for the world to see this. You sent us a video of basically a mass grave. What happened there? When was this?
Yeah, so I was trying to describe a situation, an incident that happened, and it's still ongoing in an area called Mushere, Mushere, located in the Bokos County, where terrorists shouting Allahu Akbar have embarked on a mission, a mass village burning mission. That these attacks started on the evening of May the 25th, on a Sunday evening, with the murder of a pastor. He was attacked in his residence and killed. His wife was injured and left for dead alongside with another resident in the house. And by the following morning, just when the survivors were being conveyed to the hospital, and the body of this pastor was also conveyed to the mortuary, these terrorists returned and killed um, 7 more people, right? And after the military intervened and pushed back these invaders, the following morning, while the mass burial for these 8 people, these 7 people that you saw in that video, was ongoing, these terrorists mobilized and came back again, this time around in a larger number. Residents and witnesses describe the force as more than 500. They estimated the force that attacked, the mourners to be more than 500, and they literally had to abandon the corpses on by in that mass grave, and flee for their lives before soldiers later accompanied a few people much later at night to bury them. But then it didn't stop there. By 8 p.m., I was awake up to 3 a.m. the following day, making phone calls and appealing to soldiers, persuading them to intervene, because This time around, more than 8 communities were flooded at the same time, and Christian houses and churches were set ablaze simultaneously across these communities. And those attacks, according to information reaching us, are still ongoing as we speak.
Well, Masara, we're talking about anti-Christian pogroms. We're talking about mass graves. We're talking about terrorism. We're talking about kids being killed because they're Christian. Why is no one, literally no one in the West reporting about this?
Yeah, because the Nigerian authorities, who are, by the way, Muslims, and seem to either be complicit or just turning a blind eye, um, have found a way to distort the narrative, to churn out false narratives, describing these attacks as mere clashes between sedentary farmers who are chiefly Christians and semi nomadic cattle herders who are Muslims. And it appears that the US authorities, particularly under the previous administration of President Joe Biden, have bought into these lies and have continued to spread the lies, distorting the narrative, hiding the truth about the attacks, making the world believe that this is not a situation to be concerned about, and therefore let's just allow them to deal with their issues. These are just clashes between different ethnic groups or people of different groups, and therefore let them deal with their problems. But again, what is going on is an agenda, a clear cut, calculated agenda to eliminate Christians in Africa's most populous nation and impose an Islamic caliphate, a caliphate governed
Hmm.
by extremist ideologies, governed by Sharia. And I say this confidently because I have been covering this violence for the past 15 years. And I have seen communities, Christian communities, uprooted and replaced with Muslims, and those communities are not just turned to no go zones for Christians, but they are also converted to staging grounds for more terror attacks. I remember a particular incident. I mean, on a couple of years ago, on June the 23rd of 2018, I was attacked. My team was attacked at a location approximately 30 miles southwest of Jos, at an intersection leading to a town called Mahanga. Now, you can look that up on the internet, on Google Maps, search the town Mahanga, Mahanga. Now, that town was initially a Christian town that was attacked precisely on September 11, 2001. Now, this is a story that the world does not even know. Even the Christians and the rest of the people in the United States do not know. While Al Qaeda terrorists were wreaking havoc in the United States, where they eventually killed more than 2,900 people in a terror attack that remains perhaps the largest and the most devastating in history. Another set of terrorists, also shouting Allahu Akbar, marched to this town, which was originally known as Rankum, spelled Rankum, and killed more than 200 people and displaced the remaining residents and instantly took over the town. As we speak, that town has not just served as a staging ground for more terror attacks, but has produced more Mahangas like it. So there are more than 150 communities that have been captured by terrorists acting on the orders of their superiors, their warlords, their commanders in Mahanga, or with active collaboration of terrorists in Mahanga to capture more communities. And this is happening over and over again. So the area that has suffered the latest attacks is one of those that has managed to survive the attacks through the efforts of civilian guards, civilian volunteer guards, who, by the way, just managed to defend with makeshift weapons, chiefly homemade single-shot pipe guns and hunting rifles, which are never in any way effective to repel these attacks.
Well, Masara, your perspective is absolutely crucial. We're going to do our part to continue to tell your story. We're going to have you back on because, just being involved in this story, past few months, unfortunately, tragically, news breaks every week, if not every single day. So Masara Kim, we will have to have you back on. But as for now, God bless, my friend. We will be praying for your safety, your team, and your family safety. Thank you for coming on.
It's quite a pleasure, and thank you for having me.